Need to call to order the Tuesday, August 16th meeting of the Anderson County Charter Commission, and that's the, wait a minute, till the clerk gets in to call the roll. I got ahead of myself, but that's okay.
We've put up with you for 3 or 4 years, we can adjust to a little minor mistake.
Well, you know, we can just take this time to, so they'll know that we have a new member of the Charter Commission, and welcome Shelley Vandergrift to the,
Appendix B.
to the commission, and, it
Yeah,
might
you
be
did. I
for a short time, it might be for a long time. That depends on the vote of the people.
It might be early November, it might be 1926.
Yes, so, but I think what we can do, and,
Yeah, 2000, yeah. What did I say, 19?
and we can all see until I did jump ahead, but we can proceed because we have a full house. We have 8 members present, so
That's been a pretty rare event. Yeah.
that's right. So at this time, we just stand for the prayer and then the pledge, prayer led by Commissioner White and the pledge by Commissioner Meade.
Our most kind and precious Heavenly Father, we'd ask you to direct our minds, direct our thought process, and help us, Lord, to conduct this business. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Please join me in the pledge for our flag. Hand salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. And, Ms. Annette, I call the roll. Since we did it by head count, we have all 8 present. So, and the next item on the agenda is, the minutes from the last meeting, the August 11th meeting.
Yeah, I had one comment on the minutes. After all the things that we discussed, there was no recording of our vote to approve all that. It documents the first things, but it doesn't document the final approval of all the things that are listed on pages 1, 2, and 3 at the top.
Well, the reason for that
Yeah.
was that in going over it, we wanted to know if anybody had any objections to it, and,
Yeah.
and we said that it could be done with final approval.
Yeah, and I'm saying is that final approval was not on the minutes. It never says that they were all approved.
No, I'm not talking about
Yeah,
the final approval for just those, but once,
yeah.
you know, did we want to leave those corrections as Gavin gave us to us, and be in agreement? And then when we could approve them all at one time, but not necessarily at that meeting. It'd be when we voted
Okay.
on.
I thought the intent was that at the end of the meeting, those things would be approved. And that was not, that didn't get documented.
No, that was my fault.
Anyhow, okay. So
But
you're
I-
saying that,
But-
so tonight we're gonna vote to approve this stuff?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
Any other corrections or objections to the minutes? I see none. Do I hear a motion?
Second.
Motion and second to approve the minutes. Any other comments? If not, vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Motion carries. Now, B, well, next item is appearance of citizens. And seeing none to come to the podium, why, would this be an appropriate time to approve those things that we talked about?
Or we can just wait till our discussion ends tonight. And
Just
then-
wait till after everything's done tonight?
I have no problem with that. I just, it's somewhere, it needs to be a vote that we did. It's probably good to do it tonight, because now we actually have a full commission. And so District 3 is represented.
Yeah, so,
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Wait until we have a full house
So-
to vote, I think that's the way,
well, do you want to do it
I would do it at the end.
at the end? All right. Sounds good. I guess we're ready for,
Yeah, does our new member, do you have a copy of the minutes from our last meeting? See what that is? Okay.
She just got a copy of the new draft, she hasn't had a chance to read it.
Yeah.
So bear with her, she's gonna give it her best shot, but I want her to have time to take a look at it, ask questions about anything she wants to, and feel comfortable about her vote. One of the first things I told her was a good vote is an educated vote, and she just got it right when we walked in the door tonight. Anyway, thank you so much.
okay,
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I don't have much tonight. I actually printed this draft off at 4:45 right before I headed down to Clinton.
Is this the one you sent me, right?
Yeah,
Nothing changed?
well, nothing's changed.
Okay, good.
Well, one small change. On the very front page, I've now added Commissioner Vandegrift's name, so I don't know if she has that addition, but that's the only
Got it
difference.
spelled right?
I think so, yeah. But she can spell check me on that. I'll send it.
And the grid.
Question,
It's got
question,
names.
are we working off the draft from 8/11?
The one I sent this afternoon is the most recent.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Here, let me,
I didn't get
I've
my-
got an extra one here, but it's,
Yeah,
it doesn't have
it's
Shelley's name.
It's not much different. This is one right here. But it's,
I've got mine, my last one is 8/11.
No, I guess it's
well,
Shelley.
I can work on
Bob?
it. Just let me,
right here, we'll go.
well, the one I got today is marked 8/11/22.
let me just,
No, but you have another one that you just printed up there for
Yeah.
Jerry and
This is the one I got in the email today, because
I
it's
get
got
one
this,
from Bob.
you can see the other side of the page. Yeah.
We'll sit right here
Yeah.
and use this one.
Okay, maybe the same as this.
No, it's a little different,
The,
according to them.
Gavin, the only thing different than the one you sent me this afternoon is the
Mhm.
addition of Shelley's name.
yes.
So we've got,
I may not have the right one.
great.
It's got my tabs, so.
So We've got yeah, appendix it's C and
E.
D.
I got this one on email today, and it's still marked 8/11/22.
That's the reason I asked if you got, the latest one
Yeah.
came in fairly late.
And just to note on that Appendix C and D, everything shifted because I referenced the Declaration of Rights and the departments in the body of the charter, and that came before the private acts
Right.
appendices, so that shifted everything back. And I think now I've got it in Word where I can include the page numbers. But at the beginning of today, I didn't have that, and so if you look at, I think it's Appendix A, it doesn't have page numbers on it. I will fix that, just to make you aware. So, like I said, on page 7 is the first substantive change. That's where I, referenced the Declaration of Rights. I can't see 105.
Use the version that I
Okay,
sent.
so the Declaration of Rights will be Appendix A.
There was one correction on that.
Really? I'll have to go back and check.
Use the one I sent you.
Okay. That just references it. I don't know how you feel about that language.
Well, he's got a reference on page 7 to it, but the Declaration of Rights is included in the back as an appendix. right?
Correct, yes, Appendix A.
Chief, you have this copy here.
Yeah, he gave me,
These are all the appendix.
I mean, I can give this to her, and you and I can look on together, and she doesn't.
Here's a,
Do you don't have the one tonight, the latest?
She does.
Yeah, Jake just gave it to me, but I think I didn't get the appendix for him.
I think he's got the extra.
Okay.
For the benefit of our new member, for everybody else that's here, I had presented them with a copy of the Tennessee Declaration of Rights, which is the first section of the Tennessee Constitution.
That's correct.
And the one that we've added to this is only slight wording to show that it's from a county level instead of from the state level, but otherwise it's word for word, without exception. In the discussion, we'd agreed to add this. One of the things that I mentioned was that for a lot of people, they really don't know what the Tennessee Constitution says. If you tell them, well, just go to the Declaration of Rights and the Constitution, you know, most people don't know how to go onto the state website and look up the Constitution and go through it. So to have it readily available to them is pretty important, because a lot of people really don't know what the rights are under the state constitution, because it's pretty extensive. And there are some people who read the first 2 articles of that and go, oh my goodness. You know, like, we have an obligation to rise up if the government is not following the Constitution. You know, I mean, that sounds pretty hardcore, okay? Well, that's exactly what our Constitution has said since, what, 1871 or something like that, just after the Civil War?
But they're all included in here in Appendix A.
Yeah, and
It's
they're all
referenced.
included in Appendix A.
It's referenced on page 7,
Yeah.
but then they're included.
And so it's not part of the reading of how we do business, but at the end, it's there for information for people.
Right.
And so, so when you look at that, if you want to go back to see how it compares to the state constitution, it's pretty easy to do. There's a preamble, and then there's the first section, and that's the Declaration of Rights. Article 1, I guess it is.
The next section that has a change is on page 17. I think it's section 3.06. This is going to be the Appendix B, the department language. That may be too broad. You may want it cut down to departments and organizations. I don't know if you want committees
Yeah,
and all that.
it's definitely cut down a little bit more than we had before. But
Yeah.
let me look at it. It's the
Okay.
first time I've seen this.
What section? It's page 17.
Yes, sir, 3.06. It should
Oh,
be
yeah.
subsection A.
Yeah, that's the change we made the other night.
Yes, and you'll remember we discussed what would happen if one of the departments fell off
Right.
in between now and, yeah. And the other change is the disclaimer at the very end. I don't have my copy. I think it's page 39 or page 40.
I think it's 40.
The change there should be in red. I've added a sentence there, pretty much saying that the presentation of this charter to the people of Anderson County is not necessarily an endorsement for approval of the charter. It's in fulfillment of
Yeah.
the
That's the
referendum.
disclaimer that we asked for.
Correct, yes.
That's right.
If anybody has any pointers or any other thoughts on that,
No,
I'm open to-
I think this is stated fine now.
The other thing that I had was I was gonna ask Jay about some of the departments at the very end, if you wanted a description, but I think we've resolved that, so, that's all I have for you, Mr. Chairman.
So are we going to discuss my comment on page 13?
Sure,
I believe that was an oversight, not intentional.
okay.
And so if the board wants to go like it reads right now, you know, I'm not
Yes.
gonna argue, I'm not gonna fight, but I think it would be more appropriate to have that all ordinances will be published in the county website. Not only the non-penal ones.
What section is that?
That would be,
Number
well, it's
4.
on page 13, B4 in section,
Last paragraph.
Oh,
Yeah.
you want the word other stricken.
I just think it should be all ordinances shall be published in the Anderson County website. I mean, the penal ones that people can really get in more trouble for, I think those should be the easiest to find, not that they know how to go into, and the fact that it's been in the paper, I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't keep all my old papers.
One does say all ordinances.
No, but then it goes on, all ordinances of a penal nature shall be published in the paper. All other ordinances shall be published in the Anderson County website.
Okay.
And what I'm saying is, I'm recommending that we delete other, and that all ordinances shall be published on the Anderson County website. I mean, makes it readily available to the people, makes it more open. And I would think that the ones that are penal in nature are the ones people really need to be able to look up if it's necessary. Not have to know how to come over to the courthouse and find out what it says. Because once it goes in the paper, you know, I mean, if somebody asks me, well, if something goes in the paper, if I want to look at it 3 years later or 2 years later, how do I find it? I don't know that I'd know, but if I can say, well, those things also were posted on the website, then they could go back and probably find it.
And there is, if you look on that same page, page 13, it's not like they're not gonna be anywhere, you know. If you look at subsection A, section A, subsection 7, the county clerk shall number and compile in an ordinance book all ordinances. So they're gonna be, you know, with records or whomever, but
Oh, yeah, you come over to the courthouse and find it.
But,
I'm not,
Jeff always, and this is what we do right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
Jeff always keeps the minutes, Jeff Cole, that's his duty as
Yep.
the county clerk. But if you look at our website, we always have the minutes of our meetings and our county commission agenda.
Yeah.
That's exactly what we'll do here. Jeff also has a resolution book over there in his office, so
Yeah.
there'll be a new ordinance book.
Yeah.
And, he'll keep those in a bound record book pursuant to this charter, and at the same time, they'll be published, on the county website. It's no different than what we do right now. In fact, the problem.
Well, and that's why I think the all other should just read all.
But I am in favor of another section on that county website, probably on the front page, that lists just a link there, all ordinances, and it'll be a link to the master book.
yeah.
But I think Steve's right on that. One of the biggest, issues with any type of criminal law is having notice to people that it is against the law to do this.
Yeah.
And so we've got to try our best to get that out there, and I think that's only reasonable is to post it on the website. And you're right, not a lot of people read the newspaper, other than my father, every morning from cover to cover, but, he still gets a home subscription, but, there is a few people out there that read the newspaper, but I think most people now are in this day and age, click on the websites and
Yeah.
use Google or whatever, but we'll have it in both places. And the other thing is, back in the days we did the Blockhouse Valley report, which was 4 or 5 volumes, we took them to all the public libraries, and they probably still have them to this day. I doubt anybody looks at them, but we wanted everybody to have notice exactly what happened at Blockhouse Valley.
Yeah.
And all the libraries should have a copy of this, so, that's the plan.
Or do I need to make a motion that we just remove other from that sentence on page 13?
I think that
Where's
would
he looking at?
simplify it.
Page 13.
Well, the thing is, I think it's gonna end up on the website anyhow. So why here say that it isn't if it's penal? This basically says it isn't going on the website unless it's a penal ordinance. And I think it's gonna end up on the website, and I don't think this would just cause confusion to leave the other there.
Well, it will end up on the website, there's no doubt about it. It's going
Yeah,
to.
and so this shouldn't say that it won't.
Right. I agree with you.
Yeah.
So you just want the word other stricken.
Yeah.
Yeah, just strike the word other.
The second sentence.
Got it.
Anybody have
And
any other?
You also had a point about the front page, whether you wanted districts.
Well, I just, like I said, you're talking about minor issues to bring up in this, one of these last meetings.
Bring them all up.
I just wondered if, I just asked the question, should the Charter Commission members be listed by district instead of just by name?
I'll tell you, my original initial draft had the districts beside of it. This is in alphabetical order. I always felt like that it should be District 1, District 2, District 3. I think that the members of our citizens want to know who was the representative.
Yeah, who was there?
And
No.
I don't think anywhere in this document it says that Steve Meade represented District 6. So that's an option if you want to do it. Somebody's liable to think that Saber's in charge of this with their name. So what about that change? Add the districts, it'll be in that order, District 1, District 2, District 3, District 4, not in alphabetical order, but I would,
Yeah.
would you want the chair and vice chair notated?
No.
No? Okay. Any thoughts on adding the districts, Tim?
I think it makes sense just for clarity and openness to list us by, I don't care if it's alphabetical order or by district order, but I think that it should be identify who is representing what district.
I think it'd probably look better, District 1, District 2, District 3.
Mr. Fritz?
You know, by putting the districts on there, at least it's gonna let the people in your districts know who to contact if they have a question. If they see District 1, oh, that's my commissioner,
Yeah.
I call that particular person. As for, being on the website, I mean, I'd say a very large majority of people don't even look at our website. But putting everything that we can on there, it makes it available if they want to. And, I wholeheartedly agree with that. But I think in some of our education stuff, especially when we talk about the charter, we need to let the citizens know what our website offers. I mean, I say there's a vast number of people out there that don't know we even have a website, and that this website does include this, and this, and you can find all value kinds of information if you just go to it. And I doubt very seriously there are many people in this county that understands that and realizes that.
So, include the district, list them.
Yeah, I would recommend we do, and it sounds like we have agreement, I don't know.
Yeah, list them by, instead of alphabetical order, by district,
Okay.
but note what district.
Yeah, I'm thinking District 1 : name, District 2 : name.
Right.
Yeah.
You need to know that, to put in your
Uh,
notes now, beside that?
I think I have that information, but it might be easier if I'm just told right here. I don't have,
Commissioner
Saber is-
Bochamp?
Saber's District 7, Chuck is District 1, Tim is District 4, Steve is District 6, Bob is District 8, VL is District 2, Jerry is District 5, and Shelley is District 3.
got it.
Okay.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, what else? Any other?
No, I just,
Tim?
any comments from anyone? I just want to make sure we give Shelley enough time to review everything.
Well, Tim's got a,
You know, last meeting, we talked about staggered elections for county commission, and I said, you know, really didn't want to vote on it, just wanted a discussion, see what everybody felt. And then with everybody here, you know, then if everybody's interested in it, maybe make a motion for it.
Yeah. I know that was brought up at a county commission meeting in Nashville. And Charlie Curtis, who most of you know, Shelley might not, he's the executive director of the Tennessee County Commission Association in Nashville. Former state house member, former mayor, I think, former commissioner, he's a pretty interesting guy. And he said that because the way the Tennessee law says that the commissioners shall be elected every 4 years, how do you suddenly have one that's 2 years, so you can go into the every other year thing? And so in that discussion at least, it looked like there was an obstacle of making the transition. And I don't know that anyone has come up with a way that can be done and still comply, because it just says commissioners shall be elected every 4 years.
Do we have any
And I personally wouldn't care if it went to one this and then 2 years the other one, but it's 4 years for each one. But the transition to that point means at some point, somebody's either gotta be 6 years or somebody's gotta be 2 years. And that would not comply with the way I think the state law is written. It might take a change in state law. Maybe I should recommend that to Reagan, that be optional, that there can be a transition to that if people want to. Anyhow,
Sabra,
we have, on the initial charter, we have to comply with state law.
Sabra.
I don't know about staggered terms, but after Commissioner Anderson approached us probably a month ago, I've done a lot of research on the commission A and B. And it wouldn't change the 4-year
No.
mark, but it would make it to where if somebody wanted to pull a petition, they would have to pull for either seat A or seat B. And I know some counties that are doing it, and it kind of makes sense to me. You know, at first when he approached us, I was like, oh no, that's horrible. But it does make sense.
Now, that's one, I gave the gavel to Bob and made a motion, it died for lack of second.
Yes.
But I can,
But it wouldn't be staggered terms. It would be, if you wanted to run for seat A, you would have to pull for seat A. If you wanted to run for seat B, you've got to pull for seat B.
Well,
And some of these other counties, it kind of makes sense of how they're doing it.
how,
So it wouldn't stagger the term, but it would just be
Yeah.
2 different seats that you would have to pull for instead of 10 people going and trying to
But
run
it
for
also
2
means
positions.
that if 2 people run for A and 2 people run for B, okay, and there could be almost no turnout for the people in B and a big turnout for A, and the 2 people with remarkably higher votes could not both win.
Mhm.
You could have somebody that was just a relative, or like, you could have 2 people run for A and then 1 person run for B. And the person, you know, you could end up with the, I kinda like the fact that the 2 top vote people win it. Now, in
Yeah.
this last election, I wasn't real fond of it.
Personally, myself, I like the way that we're doing it. The 2
Yeah.
top people get in.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a huge undervote in most of these elections. I mean, the top person, there was 200 difference between some of the other ones. So I like the way that we're doing it, but I think if we're talking staggered terms, then seat A and seat B would make more sense than us not complying with state law on the 4-year term.
the way it would have to work if you went to seat A and seat B, and what they're talking about is that in 2026, if this passed, in 2026, you would have to declare, prior to qualifying, prior to the primaries, that there would be a junior commissioner, similar to the way the U.S. Senate is, you got one running, and then later on you got another one running, but the one, possibly, what you could do is the one with the most experience would be the one running for the four-year term, and the one with the least amount of experience would run for the two-year term, and if they were the same, it would have to be decided by a flip of a coin. And that's how you would start it. We'd have to change
Well,
a lot
see,
in here on the
yeah.
elections to get to that point. But is that not right, Tim?
Yeah, but that wouldn't comply with current state law, so we can't put it in the charter. That's my opinion based upon discussions with.
Let's do some
Yeah,
quick research on that. Is that all right?
that's
We'll
fine.
come back tomorrow night with that, and Gavin and I'll work on that to see if there's any way to do that, but
But I'm,
if you do the seat A, seat B, I think that meshes a lot better with the staggered terms. I can see where if you did it every 4 years on seat A and seat B, you can get somebody gets picked on, and you might end up getting the top two vote getters. One of those people doesn't get in.
now, the big thing is, what you're talking about there is, and what we've discussed throughout this, and this is the way I personally feel, but it'd be a change. And we said we wanted a few, few changes as possible.
I think if you start to go that way, you need to say, these are the benefits. And I'm not sure I realize what the benefits are, but somebody might educate me a little bit better, but I'm not sure what the benefits are of the staggered terms.
Commissioner Fritz?
In 5 elections, this past election, probably throughout the whole county, has been one of the most negative type campaigns I've ever seen. Signs being stolen, false accusations made, all kinds of stuff. And I think if you start doing seat A, seat B, you could have two running over here at seat A, then the one on seat B could help conspire with the other to get that to B. I just think you open up a whole, especially after this past election, I think you'd be opening up a whole lot of cans of worms, and where people start plotting and doing stuff.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion, just leave it like it is. And then in 2026, if we see a.
Yeah. I mean, we did make a commitment in most of our districts that we would change it
That's true.
as little as possible. This is kind of a major change that would still be allowed later. I mean, we could, even before the charter came into effect, if it looks like this could work, the commission could take action to do that, I think, as long as we show we're complying with state law, can't we? Is there anything now in state law that says that it can't be staggered? I mean, but it says every 4 years, and so
Right.
that sounds like you can't change.
Yeah.
But it would but a change in state law could
I don't know
happen before.
I don't know if you can hear me there, but I said that myself and Gavin would work on this and get back
Yeah,
with you. We'll
yeah.
do a little legal research.
Well, if we take,
If you take a vote on this tonight,
Not
say
yet.
no,
You-
then
yeah, you may not. and-
then we won't do it.
And
but-
he made a motion not to, so.
Okay.
Second.
Yeah, and I would second the motion to
Are there any
not go ahead.
counties that have done a staggered term at all, that we know of?
Our school board.
Yeah, but that's a different law.
Yeah. But no legislative body.
Off the top of my head, I don't know. I can look
Okay,
real
we
quick.
have,
Knox County doesn't have, they just have the two-term term limits, but they don't have staggered, do they?
so we have a motion
For
and a
commissioner.
second
I don't think so.
to leave it like it is. Any other discussion?
I put my 2 cents worth in on that.
Please.
Okay,
If you had your A and B, I think that would, I'm not gonna say hinder, but that would limit the voting public maybe I just think it would limit the voters the right to elect two people.
Yeah, with the most support.
Yeah, I think it would limit the voters. And with the small number of voters that we have now, we shouldn't do anything that would hinder the voting public. That's my opinion. This has worked good. You know, some of our races, as Chuck said, some of them get heated, some of them, you put your sign up in my yard, I'd probably take it down, you know. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Anything that we did that would cause the public to lose any interest or make it a little bit more complex, I think that would be a step in the wrong direction. Thank you.
Any other comments? If not, we'll vote. Roll call.
Commissioner Fritz?
Aye.
Commissioner Smallridge?
Aye.
Commissioner Vandergriff? Aye. Commissioner Isabel?
Aye.
Commissioner White?
Aye.
Commissioner Meade?
Aye.
Commissioner Butcher? Aye. Chairman Stonesifer?
Aye.
All eight ayes.
Yeah, considering we're voting aye to no.
Okay,
Yeah. The election would have been very different for me in this case, had we had this A and B thing in place. It's very likely that I would run A and the guy that ended up beating B ran B along with Catherine. And then Catherine would have beat him, and I would have been the only one running in A perhaps. I mean, and so this change, had it been in place during my last election, would have been probably a very different outcome for me. Okay, I mean, so I'm not voting against this because it's a personal thing. I'm voting against it because even though it might have been an advantage to me in
Well,
this last election.
I personally think that we did the right thing. When you've gone through this number of years with two commissioners in each district and the two top vote getters winning, it could be confusing the other way around. So that's the last thing we'd want to do, confusing.
On the other hand, if we can get the state to agree with allowing a stagger someplace to have commissioners come in every 2 years, I think that would lead to a little bit more consistency on the commission. Actually, I think it might be a good thing.
It would,
But that would take a change in state law, the way I understand it.
now, any other?
I don't think it's good business to change just for the sake of a change.
No, I don't know.
I think you're right.
And we all made a commitment to change as little as possible.
Listen, I
Oh,
told
there you go.
everybody, yeah.
Now, do we have is there anything that's left hanging that we haven't discussed?
Yes, there's some comments sent to me by Commissioner Meade that I need to bring to you tomorrow night. Commissioner Meade knows them. I'll get them to him. I'll send them by email. But he knows these comments. And he noticed the other night, he sent them in 2 different faxes. And there was a hole and several pages were missing, at least 5. And he thought that, and I thought that that was the end of it, but there's not. There's another 4 or 5 pages at the end. If you notice, when I got through with his comments, we only got to section 3. So I want to bring those tomorrow night. I'll work with Steve so he knows exactly. He's the one that will be missing tomorrow night, but he's the one that pointed these out. Most of them are grammatical, minor. I don't think they change much, but I'll make sure Steve's on board. But he'll be missing tomorrow night But again, he's the one that sent these changes to me, so I don't think there'll be a big deal there. But I want to put those in front of this body. Just if any commissioner has a comment, please, let's get it out here and make sure we thoroughly vet it, at least by tomorrow night. And Shelley, please, if you got questions, you call me or email me in the meantime. I know this is a rush, but I do want you to be thorough. And when you have questions tomorrow night, let's give her all the floor time she needs. And I think we'll be in good shape. But by tomorrow night, we should have a final product, unless there's an issue hanging out there. And then we've got Thursday night notice, so we should be in good shape.
Yeah.
After that, the next order of business, after we present it to the Election Commission, will be to start working on our educational materials for the public. I've got a couple of drafts. I want to make it real simple, to the point, and go through a little bit of the history and tell what's different. I think that's one of the big questions you guys will get, and what's different in this charter than the way we normally do it under the constitutional form of government. And we'll lay that out on the line. Then at that point, there's going to be a big dissemination and distribution of this information, and need to think about how we want to do that. We've talked about certainly our website, Channel 95, libraries, getting it to as many people as possible. We've actually talked about a small pamphlet, if you think we've got the money to do that. I think Commissioner Wandell asked for an audit of the Charter Commission funds. The only thing I know of is the expenses for outside counsel, and then we've given Annette a well-deserving stipend to do the minutes.
Yeah. I think the Charter Commission, though, should get at least a 20% increase in our salary.
Well, we'll give that to you because you get nothing as it is.
You know,
See, 20% is zero.
Shelley, you're gonna find out real quick, there's a lot of work to do and no pay other than just the self-gratitude. Look at Tim, he's on 16 different, we were looking at that resolution last night trying to get it together, and I couldn't believe. And the other thing is, a lot of them he's on is not Anderson County committees. It's stuff outside that he's on, and now he's gone into this NACO thing, and he's been put on a bunch of more. I don't know how you manage the time, buddy. I don't. I know you only sleep a couple hours a night, but he's at work at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning. So, but we appreciate you. We really do.
But that late?
That like, yeah, Chuck's another one. He's there about 4.
As far as an audit of what goes on, I don't know, maybe I don't understand what was in the law about how much was supposed to be provided. I believe it was up to $75,000.
50.
Yeah, 50,000.
That's what the state law says,
Right.
50.
Requires they supply 50,000,
Yeah.
and they can do more than
Oh,
that.
we're well under that.
Yeah.
Well
Well,
under.
I knew that, but what, I'll tell you something now this is personal, and it's at the will of this commission, but I'd like for us to take a vote on everything that's been presented, that we've agreed on in this document, to vote on that tonight while we have all 8 present. Then that's pending.
The submission of Commissioner Mead's other comments on the back, what,
And
5 or 6 pages.
And what Ms. Vandergriff might come up
Ms.
with.
Vandergriff has.
I would make seeing you're the chair, you can't make the
I
motion,
know.
I'll make the motion.
Got a motion, do I hear a second? Motion and second. Everybody understand the motion?
The motion is that we're approving everything that's been agreed to this point tonight.
Right.
Subject to, contingent upon, Shelley's
Yeah.
comments, the addition of the other comments of Commissioner Meade.
Right. So, ready for roll call vote?
Commissioner Fritz,
Aye.
Commissioner Smallridge,
Aye.
Commissioner Vanderbeck, Commissioner Isbell,
Aye.
Commissioner White,
Very reluctantly,
Commissioner Meade,
Aye.
Commissioner Bochamp. Chairman Stonesifer.
Aye.
All ayes. Ayes.
Did you just feel the relief?
Well, I do, and, I don't have any reservations. I think that's what the disclaimer was in there for, and I know what Jerry was talking about, being reluctant, but I tell you, I appreciate everybody's input.
You've done your
And,
duty.
It's been, at some point, we'll go over, there'll be some accolades to throw out at a meeting, and, but I appreciate everybody's help on it.
I appreciate every one of you.
Any other business?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like just to mention, the tone of this charter committee was sort of set by Mark Alderson.
Yes.
You know, when we started this, several years ago,
6.
has it been 6? I feel like I was a young man then.
Young man,
But Mark Alderson,
God rest him.
he sort of set the tone for this. I respected him greatly. But anyway, I just thought I just wanted to mention his name, that he sort of set the tone for this committee.
He was definitely a leader.
It was. I really enjoyed Mark. Even as a county commission chair, but when he wasn't a chair, he'd sit up there all night doodling, wouldn't say hardly anything, but when then he said something, it made a lot of sense. It resonated to everybody, and he was a common sense
Yeah.
person.
Well, Mark he's different from me. I talk and then I think. But Mark Alderson, he thought about it and then he talked. There is a great difference. There is a great difference in that. And I'm hushing and I'm ready to go.
If you'll look there on the wall, he's smiling at you.
Yeah. Good man, good man.
Any other
I'll make a
comments?
motion to adjourn.
And you'll be here next week? I mean, tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night, yes.
Okay. Motion to adjourn's in order?
So moved.
Hearing no other business, meeting adjourned.
I think we're all right on the
This is the shortest meeting I've been to.